and gentlemen. This is, I have kind of condensed everything I wanted to say after doing a few raw takes. I don't want to spend all day on this. And so long and short, I got fired today from my job. I'm just going to give you the basic facts of it. I'm not going to go too far into it. So I get fired because I basically confront some people about what they were doing, what they were getting up to, and they were basically harassing me all day long, every day, for 9 weeks straight. And because I've told people about it, I've been sacked. Now I had to endure absolute torture every day, and I'm gonna break it down right into what the whole experience was like and what you can expect a workplace to be like when you're somebody who's going through this targeted madness, right? So, and not only that, somebody's popped the tyre on my bike today. What they do when something's bad, right? When they know maybe something's bad's happened, even if probably your relatives died or something, they will clamp down on you. It's so sadistic, this whole thing, and that's what's happened today. Like, I've been the harassment. I've had people just follow me around everywhere today, and they do anyways, but just a bit more obvious today, because I've been fired. Not really bothered me too much, to be fair. So I am going to basically explain what it was like from walking in the place, getting the job, up to leaving, right? And I'm going to try and keep any bias out of it. I'm just going to give you the raw facts, because that's what this is. I kind of see myself as I don't know to be honest, I don't actually know what a journalist is. A journal, okay? But I'm just giving you the facts. It's kind of like a documentary, I suppose. I'm just documenting facts, right? So I get the job, I get my interview. The boss, I'm not going to name any names here, right? But the boss, he seems quite nice actually. He seems quite a conscientious person. He chooses words quite carefully. He seems like he thinks. He's not just mindless. He seems to be paying attention to what's going on as well. Overall, he seems like a decent dude, right? However, when you're going through this target individual thing, it's always too good to be true, right? Unfortunately, and that's not that's not just kind of what's the word? Negative thinking. It's just a reality. So I get the job. I show up on my first day, and I go in, and for the first day, 1, 2, 3 days, it seems okay. I'm being shown around what to do. Everybody seems quite polite. I get quite a warmish kind of introduction from people, and there's one bloke who hasn't arrived yet, right? He's there the week after, right? So, but it seems okay. Now, I'm starting slowly, maybe 4th day in, right? I'm starting to get a few dirty looks, and not only dirty looks, but I'm starting to get a lot of sexual harassment. So basically, these people, they're just, it is, at its rarest form, it is an all-out attempt to psychologically destroy you, right? So, for example, I happen to tell my boss to say, listen, there's just a lot of that what I've noticed that there's a lot of homosexual men in warehouses, and he's like, oh right, okay. So what does he do? For about 2 weeks after that, I managed to actually get evidence of this guy of sexually harassing me, right? But for 2 weeks straight, he's staring at my legs, he's staring at my ass, he's staring at my face, like making a conscious effort so that I see him doing this, right? He wants to be caught, like, and sometimes he's doing it when I'm not looking. Like, I think if I'm going off my gut, I think the guy is a homosexual, yeah. And you know, he knows that these people have been told about me. He might have been told that I'm one too, I don't know, but you know, he's on the other side of the worst and he's staring at my ass. Do you know what I mean? There's little things like that. But he's quite intense, you know, he's quite, he's in my face. Not only that, there's another guy doing it too, and another, so that's 3 of them altogether. And oh, sorry, 4. 4 of them, yeah. 5, yeah. No, my boss, he's the worst one. The others are like kind of, you know, give me the pain. Looking at my private regions, paying a lot of attention, and it's very disturbing. Now, I bring a pair of glasses into work, right, and they record these glasses, and I get a bit of evidence of my boss doing it, right, and and obviously he tells me, he says, listen, I've been searching those glasses, and unfortunately he can't bring them into work anymore. So okay, fair enough. Now after that, he suddenly stops. He stops it. And for the whole time I'm there after that, he did it a bit, but he didn't really do it much after that. So what does that tell you? Now, the first kind of, because these tactics, they jump from place to place. There's obviously somebody letting these work polices know that, hey, listen, this guy, do this and this to him, and you know, everybody does it. Just he's a paedophile, he's a criminal, but I'm not, obviously, not true. But people tend to buy it, obviously, because it happens everywhere I go, right? It must be police telling them, some corrupt police. So yeah, you know, it's about 2 weeks in, and I started getting a lot of kind of hate from one dude. He's given me evils quite a lot. When I go past him, he's mumbling under his breath, like, call me all sorts. Yeah, he's being moody when I speak to him, like you know, whenever I approach him, he's making himself very unapproachable, right? But at the same time, this guy's is an assistant manager. So my boss wasn't in for a week, right? So I had to speak to this other dude, and he just made it really hard to talk to him. Bearing in mind, I did nothing to this guy, right? So yeah, he starts with, so this is about 3rd week, and he starts with a whistling. Now, these people would, whenever I did anything, kind of drop a pallet, make a mistake, they'd swarm me. They'd with all the tactics like coughing, whistling really loud, singing really loud, shouting my name. That happened so many times, and I just obviously ignored him. But yeah, so you know, it's quite obvious what they was doing, and yeah, so it just started slowly creeping up, until eventually it got so bad where I was just getting terrorized from start to finish. Like, you know, it was really taking me a lot to restrain myself, and I did well. I'm quite proud of myself. I sustained genuine psychological torture for 9 hours straight, 5 days a week for 9 weeks. and I'm proud of myself now. So yeah, I'm going to break it down to each person. So that was one guy, right? But bearing in mind, right, everything I say about each person, they did this all day, every day. Some of them would lay off a bit one day, and maybe not do it as much, but then they'd come back the next day. Either way, I was getting bombarded by somebody every day. So yeah, that's what that guy did. A lot of whistling. He'd stare at me to try and get a reaction out of me. Like, I'm talking just genuine. And if I said anything, it's me. Oh, I'm sure he wasn't doing that. I'm sure he didn't mean anything. Yeah, he was saying I was bad at my job. He was saying I didn't listen, but yeah, I was one of the best performers in there. Anything I did was wrong, right? Or just not good enough. So that was that one guy. The second guy was a smaller dude, little bald guy, and older again. They're all old, these people. And now this guy, right? This would be a typical day. So I'd be in the aisle. He would. Well, like the first guy, I didn't mention this about the other. They would follow me all around the warehouse, right? So if I'm making a cup of tea in the canteen, they would follow me in there. If I'm going to the toilet, there'd be somebody outside waiting, kind of. This is if they saw me, right? And they'd also, because I think there was only about 6 or 7 aisles that you could pick from, right? And they would, because you can jump back and forth on your order list, right? To suit what you can kind of stack on your pallet, and they would. I mean, I just observed these things. I just didn't do anything about it. But they would see which kind of where I am, and yeah, like they basically follow me around so that they can do the tactics. And this one guy would, I mean, so that'd be next to him, and he'd just go like that. Really, he'd even go like that, not with a hiccup. But yeah, that'd be an average day. That relentless. If I made a mistake, he would get worse. And that was this guy. He was every day that. This guy was one of them. He was quite a quite a morbid and quite a disturbed little man. And I mean, imagine that though, for 5 days straight, every week, for 9 hours every day. It gets a lot. And he'd just stop me, he'd watch my order, what orders I'm getting, and he would do this right in front of me, right? He'd be stood there just looking at me like this, like, what's he doing? And he wouldn't talk to me. It'd be like I was some sort of object. That's how I got treated. It was disgusting. Excuse me. And yeah, and I heard him say that I'm a nonce on like the second day. Because I noticed everybody was kind of cool with me, and then the third or fourth kind of day in, they just turned and stopped. Everybody just stopped talking to me. All the energy was different. You know what I mean? So yeah, that was another guy, and another guy was completely obsessed with me. This guy would there's watching and there's this. It was quite clearly he was my biggest fan. He was completely obsessed with me, he'd try and put up a feeble attempt at making it seem like he wasn't, but excuse me, I could just tell he was absolutely all over it. He even got people to come from the desk to come and watch me. That's how bad it was, this place. like I was like some sort of fairground attraction, and I'm a human being. What it blows my mind. But people would come from the front. And this guy would kind of talk about me in front of my face, and he'd laugh at me. He'd look at me whilst he's talking to me, and while I'm watching him, he'd just laugh at me like that. Excuse me. A disgusting guy. He would make comments because he was watching me all the time, right? And he'd be at the front desk, and he'd be making little comments saying, "I saw that if I dropped a box, I saw that out of nowhere." I'm like, "How is he watching me?" Or he'd be telling me to speed up. This guy's not a manager, do you know what I mean? And he's doing the same. He's whistling when he's going past. Each of them had their own little ways. Now, this guy would just make a lot of eye contact with me, all day, every day. So that's number 3. Number 4 is, I'll leave the boss to last. Number 4 is another bald bloke. Now this guy was more aggressive, I'd say. That was his kind of thing. I remember the first couple of days I saw this guy. He would block me, right, from coming out of an aisle, and I'd be sat there on my truck, or stood there on my truck waiting for him, right. And the second night, for about 15-20 seconds, just seeing what he's doing, and he's pretending to be on his phone or something, right. And what he'd do, he'd wait for me to make a move, and then he'd go, and then he'd tell his mates, he'd right in front of me, he'd say, he's blocking me on purpose. Do you know what I mean? He was so what he was doing, he was trying to obstruct me or sabotage me in some way, and then he'd say I was doing it right in front of my face. It's basically as to say, we can do whatever we want to you. So a very narcissistic bloke. Rubbed it in my face too. There's 2 things that are very disturbing about it. Number 1 is, if you put yourself in one of these guys' shoes, what the amount of energy and time and thinking power that must go into placing yourself in these positions and planning it out, some of the things that they did, it's disturbing. How much resources I took from these people, and they didn't do anything. Do you know what I mean? These people were genuinely obsessed with me, and it was just every day. It was like, for example, I'd go home and I wouldn't really think much about the job, but these guys would be, they must have been obsessed with me, because I was getting stuff from this guy. Cause one of them got really obsessed with me. He'd send me things on, like for example, I never looked at this guy's face, right, really, because that's what he wanted. It was a voyeurism thing for him. He wanted eye contact. It was a sexual thing for him, right? And you might think I'm over exaggerating. I'm really not. And if anything, I'm I'm not giving it enough credit, really. And that's what he'd do. It was the typical narcissistic relationship. Even though I never spoke to this guy, in the morning he'd come in, he'd be dead nice, right? Hey, you alright, man? How you doing? He'd try and get to know me. He'd be quite warm, and he was quite, he had a bit of charisma. Then he'd mimic me. Anything I did, normally went around the warehouse singing, right? Genuinely not trying to annoy anybody. I was just in a good mood. It's what I'm like. And he mimicked my body language, what I'd say, the songs I sang, in the way I sang them. Because this guy never really sang before. Well, he did a bit, but he was, he would do it and he would watch me as well. He'd wait for my response, and he would say things when he was singing as well, as if to, like, for example, shout my name, or just to get my attention, just wanted my attention. And I get things like on my social media on it's called X. I think you probably know of it, but he says, "Are you scared of looking at my face?" I get a post like that, or I get a post. So it was related to something that happened that day, with him, this guy, and it's the amount of different stuff I got was just outrageous. And I remember coming. I was off for about 8 or 9 days, right? And I went back and I saw him, and I could tell like he missed me. He did. He genuinely did. Because these people, that you become their obsession. You become, because they've been given a green light by whoever to basically, you can terrorize this guy. We want you to destroy this man's life, right? But what they don't realize is, people, that when you try go at your way, when you're trying to destroy somebody's life, or you're a bully, you genuinely do. You give these people yourself. You do. A part of you kind of goes with them, and I've become a part of their life basically, and I don't even know who they are. I barely speak to them, and they don't realise how much of an effect it takes on them. So yeah, there was that. It also stared on me, like if you go into the alley, it'd be like that, pretending to, and then he'd say I did that. He'd say, yeah, but he'd be speaking to one of his mates, and he'd be saying, he almost hit me before, and that's what he did. So just gaslighting so bad. What else? Coughing, not as bad, but he still did it. So they all had their own little patterns of doing it. But yeah, looking at my ass a lot as well. It was outrageous. And again, this guy would watch me around. He'd know where I was all the time, right? And he'd let me know it as well. And any little conversation I had with anybody, he would position himself around so he could hear the whole thing. Now I'll get on to my boss now. And this guy was, he was pathetic, this man. He's truly a pathetic individual. He's extremely insecure. He hates himself. They're just things I've seen. And what he does, the way this guy gets any confidence is by winning the people around him. That's what narcissists do, really. He was very narcissistic. He doesn't seem that way at first. As you see the guy over weeks and months, he's a horrible person, genuine to his core. He's got a good act though. He does have a good act. I will admit. Just a very weak man. And the things this guy would do, obviously I told you about the sexual part first. That stopped after I got some evidence of him. He would be, I told this guy, I said, listen, I've got a bit of an alcohol problem, that's why I don't drink, because he said sometimes, about drink. And he brought some beers in, right? I don't know if he brought them in, but there was some beers that were left, and he came up to me and said, this was just after I've told him about the alcoholism thing. I said to him, I can't have one. I remember saying this to this guy, I can't have one because otherwise I just go on a bender. And he came up to me and said, take them beers on me, if you don't have them, I'll have them, and he's smiling at me, he's cracking jokes. But under that smile is a very malicious man who's trying to undermine me and sabotage me and destroy me. I've never seen evil in this form before, and I'm glad I have, because I've learned. And yeah, he'd whistle just non-stop around me, and he'd go past me right in my ear, and then he'd say, you okay? things like that. And obviously in my situation, obviously you'll only resonate with this and understand properly if you're a target individual. But they do the whistling, the coughing, the things that they've done it so much. It's the ways to let you know that, hey, I'm attacking you, you know. And it's hard to explain really if you don't know what I'm talking about. But you know, I am being 100% honest with you. I'm not making any of this up. This is real. This was happened. And yeah, he just he'd try and he would watch me non-stop. You know, he'd just be staring at me like that, just with dead eyes, trying to just get some sort of response out of me. And you know, he's doing all the tactics everybody else did, but the most disturbing one with this dude was on the day I got fired, well, which was today. You know, we sat down, we had a chat, and I just told him about everything that was going on, because he wanted to know why, because I kept having a bit of time off, and he, you know, he was like, he just told me a bare-faced lie and said, what did he say? It's not the what happens. It's your response to it when he's the one doing it. So it was gaslighting, just sent beyond recognition, and you know, nobody would know unless if I hadn't have gone on YouTube today and told the world what's happened, or whoever watches it, nobody would know. Every single person was against me in that place, and you know, it was where every day I walked in, and that was it. I was completely outnumbered by 20, however many people that were in the place. People from the other part of the world would come and just watch me. Do you know what I mean? I was like the attraction. Not always, you know, they'd have other stuff to do, but they'd be watching me at the same time. He'd be like, hey, come mess with him, come on, he's just dropped a pallet, come and have a look. It was things like that. The people who were building the kitchen, there was a kitchen being built at the same time, they were doing it too. They were getting involved, coughing, and every time I went to the canteen, they would follow me. They would be in the door next to it. Well, sorry, the room next to it, they'd bang on the wall when I went to the canteen. And again, these people, they are no threat. They were young lads, these lads, but they know. You know, I used to do martial arts when I was younger. I'm no stranger to a physical altercation. None of them were a physical threat, but they don't need to be, because the second I lay my hand on any of them, you know, I'm most probably going to prison, and they know that. They're not stupid. And yeah, excuse me, yeah, it was just a nightmare from start to finish. And you know, so all of them I've just told you, right, from each person. And there was the drivers too who did it as well. And there was about 4 or 5 drivers who all did the same. Now, all of them combined, right, and they're all doing it at the same time. And that's what I had to go through 5 days a week for 9 hours every day. And when I finish work at the weekend, all I have to look forward to is doing it all over again. And not only that, every job I go to is going to be the same. And I've done nothing to warrant any of this. Might have posted a few funny Facebook statuses, you know, not offending anybody, but basically having in mind other people's, if anybody cares about it. You know, I'm just putting whatever I want on Facebook. But again, I'm not harassing anybody. I'm just having a laugh. That's what these people who've got massive egos, they take it personally. So it was just a nightmare. And on the way to work, I'm getting mobbed by people in cars. You know, the way I keep saying, one of the main ways I kind of justify it, and how I keep from spilling over, is I see these people for who they are. I can see right through them. They're weak, and they're nobody. The losers, basically. Yeah, the weak, the losers, and you know it. They're basically coming to me telling me I'm weak. I'm a loser by doing what they're doing. That's how I kind of keep my cool, really. So yeah, I mean, I thought I'd get on here and discuss it. There's probably still things I've missed out, but that's the long and short of it, really. And yeah, it was just disgusting what I had to go through. And not only that, guys, right? That job I've just had. That's how I keep this roof over my head, right? So what they're doing, essentially, these people, the attempting to murder me and laughing in my face while they do it, basically. And all I can do is just stand around and watch them. That is the life of somebody who's going through this madness. And what do now? I look for other jobs and I try and make the most out of each one that I can get. I will not be able to work at a place long enough so I can get my own driving license and go that route. And even if I do, there'll still be people trying to harass me on the roads. It's just a massive, like, just, you know, and just nobody's willing to be honest with you. You've just been propelled into this other world, and you know, people find it funny. It's sick. And I have done nothing wrong, but they don't care, right? Yeah.